What's up, everyone? It's 6:03. Actually, it's just barely 6:04, but we did start the stream at 6:03. We were
we did it.
down to the wire today, but we did it. Still 6:03. It's time for the Clone Zone. I'm Alex.
I'm Molly.
And we're going to talk about today's episode of The Bad Batch, Juggernaut. It's episode 12 of season 3. And we're just going to go ahead and bring in our guests and get talking. We are joined today by the entire crew of the HoloNet Marauders. So welcome Matt and AJ and Jam. Hey, everyone.
Hey, how's it going? Thanks for having us, guys. It's an honor to be here.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, happy to have you. We just were on your show a couple weeks ago and had a great time. So we were like, let's just keep it going.
Yeah, we appreciate that.
Thank you so much.
Sure. We talked about the Rex arc, the two-parter with Rex, right? In the monastery, I believe.
Yeah. Great episodes.
There.
Yeah. But it's clear all of you are big fans of the show. So how has season 3 been treating you? Have you been enjoying it?
Enjoying it? Yes.
Yes.
Am I enjoying it though? It pains me every week at the same time. It's so weird seeing this is like one of my favorite shows and I enjoy it so much, but it causes me so much pain every single week at the same time. But yes, I have been enjoying it and it has blown my expectations out of the water for anything that Star Wars animation has done so far. So I've loved every single moment of it.
Yeah. I mean, this season has been incredible. I was saying to Matt and Jamie the other day that this is probably one of the best seasons of Star Wars animation thus far. Maybe like season 2 and Rebels, and then this for me personally. But it's just been excellent, and I'm kind of weird, and I like pain and tragedy in Star Wars a lot. I don't know why. I don't know what that says about me, but
I do too.
This is it's weird, right? Like this season's been great with that. So
yeah, as somebody who cares about the characters, it's hard to watch them suffer, but it's good TV. So I'm in.
Exactly.
It's hard to watch them suffer, but it's fun to watch them overcome things and learn and grow as people. So,
well, today was a good one. Like they have gone through a lot, and the past couple episodes they went through a lot of failure. So it was nice to have them go on an adventure where things pretty much went okay, but they still were able to keep the tension up. Just because last time they were trying to get to Mount Tantus, they lost one of the teams. So I was still tense, especially at the end there, that they were all in danger potentially. But it was nice that they actually just got a victory under their belts.
Yeah, that is true. And it felt like a very Bad Batchy episode. It was like a short but sweet action-packed episode.
It felt super Clone Wars to me, honestly. Like it felt like we were watching a mission from theirs, like that was like during the Clone Wars. And like it sounds weird to say that like, oh, a bunch of clones felt like the Clone Wars, but like this really did like feel like that. Like it felt like one of their classic missions of they kind of are just like doing whatever will work just for the sake of the mission. Because like they are feeling that way, but it's different stakes now finally.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They really felt in their element in this episode. Like
exactly.
It was like it added a bit of levity when the situation is very dire. Omega is on Tantus again. Like things are still really serious, but this episode was kind of upbeat and kind of fun. And it was like, yeah, they've done a million missions like this before, and they know what they're doing. They know each one has their part to do. And I feel like Wrecker had fun doing all of this for sure.
He had a blast.
Oh yeah.
He kept asking for things to be harder.
Yeah. It's just fun to see the Bad Batch be like the unstoppable force we know they are. Just hopping in a turbo tank and just blasting down a bridge. It's like, that's what I expect from them, and I love seeing when they actually like pull stuff off, especially that sick jump at the end.
Oh, that was awesome.
Very Fast and Furious.
Yeah, it was. It really was.
It's all about family.
Yeah, they should all had a grill, break out the cerveza crystal at the end. Chill out and talk.
So they did immediately after.
I like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, does anyone have like a favorite action moment from this episode? Because it was basically just a big long action scene. It was kind of bookended with very serious Omega on Tantus stuff, but everything else was just go, go, go. Turbo tank, full speed ahead.
It's gonna sound really silly. Oh, you can go ahead, AJ. Mine's silly, so go ahead.
It was the jump with the turbo tank, but that's probably like the obvious choice. I really liked when Fee turned off the engines and all that jazz and just flew down like past the Empire and kind of turned it back on. That was like a really cool.
I had to bring up this super chat from our friend Maddie Gunner. We now have the tech turn and the Fee fall, which is my favorite term for this move.
There we go. I like
so
that.
Good.
That was really good.
That was an incredible moment because like it was the kind of thing where she's like, I trust all of them and I know that they trust me to do this, so I'm just gonna do it. And it was just an incredible moment in which they're all questioning if they actually trust her or not, but it actually worked out in the end.
Yeah, she's like, I've done this a million times. Why don't you know a stealth fall when you see one? Like,
and they're all just like free floating in the cockpit, just like bouncing off the walls behind her, and she's just like, that was actually probably my favorite moment was when everybody just kind of like lifted off the ground, and she's just like casually flying down or falling with style.
Yeah,
yeah.
I think my favorite moment is actually around the TK troopers. Molly and I just rewatched it, and for once, they were actually pretty competent when they fly over their turbo tank and all hop out of the gunship and very quickly take out all of Wrecker's guns. I was like, this is the most competent I've ever seen TK troopers be. And then they're all thrown off the side or driven into the cliff or whatever. It doesn't last long, but I was like, hey, good for you. Good job.
That guy on the wall was brutal.
That was violent. Yeah. That was.
I love seeing that turbo tank just drive around. Like, that thing is so cool. I want one.
I know.
So I love how going into this episode, like and earlier this season, everyone was like, "Oh, this episode's called Juggernaut," so we know we're going to be seeing the turbo tank, and everyone kept saying Juggernaut. Like going into this episode, AJ was saying to me, he was like, "Why is everyone calling it the Juggernaut so much? It's a turbo tank," because like he loves to call it the turbo tank over that. Yeah, and then the first time it's mentioned is Wrecker literally calls it a turbo tank over anything else. And I just looked at AJ and I'm like, "There you go, you got it. This is it."
He knows.
And it's so sad to see the turbo tank relegated to like prisoner transport. Like that seems to like the Empire. You've got like the coolest thing ever, dude. Like giant wheels, like 8 giant wheels or however many wheels. Like use it in battles to stop just like driving people around with it. You know?
Well, I think you bring that up and it's perfect because it's just like the clones. It was this thing built for the Clone Wars. And now they're just decommissioning it, using it for some lesser purpose than we know it's intended for, just driving prisoners around. So it kind of matches the arc of the clones. Yeah. And it's such a good title for the episode where obviously it's about the tank, but it also is kind of like the attitude of the Bad Batch right now, where it's like, they're unstoppable. They're going to get Omega and they're just going to plow through everything. So great title, great fun.
Yep.
I loved the return of a plan number. We got Plan 55, which was really exciting. I love seeing Crosshair and Wrecker work together.
I love the delivery of that too. Like, the moment is just like said, like Crosshair like mentions it and gives him a moment because he's like, "Come on, buddy, I know you got this." And like, it's just you see like his like the gears processing in his head, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I got you." Like that was just perfect. Like I love everything about this season. Ever since Crosshair has returned to them, it is him actually being fully in sync with them again, and I love every single moment we get of that.
Yeah,
and it pays off well because we spent so much time early on in the season where like every episode was Crosshair with somebody like re-earning their trust and everything. But yeah, when we rewatch this, we need to go back and just collect all the plans.
And see, Lego Boy says, Wrecker's not stupid. He just needs a few seconds. And that's very relatable.
Yeah. Have you seen how many times that dude has hit his head? Like, give him a minute.
And there's at least more 99 plans. That's a lot of plans.
If not more.
They're probably just rusty, right? Like, when was the last time they ran a plan, especially with Crosshair? I mean, like you're saying, it's hard to remember all those things. So
and it feels
I don't
like
blame him.
Tech was kind of the one that would often say, hey, plan so-and-so.
Yeah.
And he's the one that made Omega memorize all the plans. So with him gone, maybe they're a little rusty.
Plus,
actually,
after Tech falling to his presumed death, hearing a plan number might be traumatic for them.
I was about to say, have we seen them do a plan this season?
Just
other than when
Crosshair
Omega and Crosshair,
yeah.
But obviously he hasn't had that trauma. He's had other trauma, but he hasn't had that trauma.
Yeah. He's got his shaky hand trauma.
Yeah.
Which is it was in check this episode, which was nice to see.
Yeah, he was able to bounce the blaster bolt off the walls again. That was pretty good.
That was impressive. Yeah. Do you guys? I know when we spoke with you a few weeks ago, whatever it was at this point. You're on team Tech is dead, right?
I think so.
Okay.
I mean, that's a crass way
I
of putting it.
don't want to be. Yeah.
You don't want him to be dead, exactly, but logically he's probably dead. Okay. I just didn't know there's still the chatter about CX32, whatever his name is, whatever number we're on with him, those I don't know. I just think he's a guy, or at best
He's
case
probably
scenario,
a guy.
like a clone of Crosshair was a theory we had, so I don't know. I don't know if anything's changed.
That theory is probably the closest in my mind to being the correct guess, but I don't think it's Tech.
I love you just like jump to this.
I know.
We brought up Tech, and I was like, I didn't know where we all stood still. So
if there's a scene of like Omega like wandering around Mount Tantus trying to escape, and she runs into Tech / CX, I will die. I will just lay down and die and never get back up.
It's when you say things like that, or like Joseph Scrimshaw from Force Center has a really, or had, I think it's too late for this to play out, but he had these ideas of how devastating it could be if they had cloned Tech. And so when I hear stuff like that, I'm like, okay, I think it could work story-wise, but every single week that we go and we don't learn more about CX2, I'm like, it's probably not happening.
Yeah.
But he's the Mephisto of this series.
Marok, Mephisto, yeah.
Something like as well, like as the season has like gone on, like I know there's been like a lot of chatter about wanting just more closure with everyone about Tech and just like more mourning. And each week we kind of do get a couple more lines of everyone processing their grief differently. And specifically this week, we finally get to see Fee talk about him and like mention him. And it's clear just based on what she says to Crosshair that her and Tech talked a lot. And my heart, I'm just like, the fact that the way that she's processing it has been totally different than what the Bad Batch is. And she's definitely at least like super excited that they actually want to work with her for something just to process their grief together. It's a weird way to say it, but it's true.
Yeah. I loved hearing her say that, because it was like, it was so cute to think about Tech telling Fee about like grumpy Crosshair, you know? And I was like,
how did that come up?
That's so cute.
She probably was berating him for her flirting with him and not knowing how to reciprocate. And he's like, if you think I'm bad, wait till you meet my brother.
I like that. It's a good thought.
Wish we could have got that reunion. There's a lot of clone trooper reunions I wish we could have got, but Crosshair and Tech would have been up there. But
yeah,
hey,
maybe
we got to see AZ for like 5 seconds,
or Doc, as Fee called him,
or Doc. Yeah,
Doc AZ.
Love that.
That was cool. Where's Gonki?
I know.
Yeah, I mean,
he's somewhere safe.
I'm glad he is safe.
The cadets are babysitting him.
He's sitting back on the
what's
beach,
happening.
sipping.
He's like, I'm not leaving Pabu. Like this is my home now. I'm too old for this.
Officially retired.
Yeah.
I don't blame him. I don't know if they could have used him anyway in this episode.
On a mission to Tantus, especially without the Havoc Marauder, RIP. Sorry about your namesake.
Okay.
Half the namesake, but I'm taking it really personally. I'm taking it really hard. Like the Lego is sitting behind me fully intact. I refuse to, disassemble it for the accuracy. But the entire Bad Batch is like holding vigil like around it, just like staring at it.
Yeah, you have like a funeral back there for it.
Hold on, I'm gonna zoom in a little on that because that's
there it is.
Oh no,
they're all just watching.
Put little flowers in their hands and stuff.
Yeah.
No. The worst part about it is like I have like season 1 Crosshair because now that's the armor like with it, and so now I'm like, oh, he can like stand here, but now he's missing with like the season 1 setup. Sorry, I'm getting derailed. But it's personal, okay?
Speaking of processing grief, there you go. They're trying to figure out how they're gonna do things without a ship. I guess they're just gonna be hanging out with Fee. Fee's gonna be kind of like their Uber now.
She's the designated driver.
Which is cool. Fee's cool. I like her character. So.
Yeah.
Fee, I mean, obviously we have Echo and Rex in the mix that hopefully, like, I'm crossing my fingers for just an all-out assault with the clones on Tantus.
Yeah.
But I mean, Rex lost a lot of his crew back in episode 6 and 7. So I don't even know if it's just him and Hauser and Gregor or what's going on.
You saw how the Bad Batch performed today. I think that's perfectly fine. That's a perfect amount of clones to storm Mount Tantus. They've got this.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
three in Rampart.
Yeah. Well, Rampart is the newest member of the Bad Batch.
Oh, don't say that.
Let's be real. Let's be real.
No.
We're in this together. He said it himself. That's powerful. That's personal.
I want to see Echo get more to do, though.
I know.
I just want to see Echo.
I know.
Period.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
I saw
first
him
let's get him on
once.
screen. Then we'll give him something to do.
I know. I don't know
Yeah.
why he's not more involved, but his moment is coming.
I hope so.
Yeah.
it better be.
Not a bad moment. I think. I don't know. We'll see. He's not with the
Did you
Rex and
guys-
Rebels. But...
Were you guys expecting Rampart to come back up at all in this show? Because for us, I like just kind of forgot about him, and I remember some rumblings about the voice actor coming back for this season. But when Crosshair said Rampart, I was like, oh yeah, he might know. That was cool.
I think Nashir actually denied that he was in season 3. He was just
did.
flat out like throwing people
really?
off. He was like, nope, not in it.
Sneaky.
Like, that's just like what he does though. So like I always like to refer to this as getting no sheared. Because it happens to me so often in like anything in video games and just in a lot of like stuff that he's in, because like he like low-key plays one of my favorite video game characters of all time, Charles Smith from Red Dead 2. And so like whenever like his voice just re-pops back up, I'm just like, no shear. What are you doing here?
You said
he is everywhere, but like it's so funny how he will go out on Twitter and just be like, nope, I'm not in it, and then just be like, guys, I'm actually in it.
And
Like,
there he is.
okay, I'd love to like see him back, because like they buttoned up his arc completely in season 2, but it was a perfect way to just be like, yeah, this guy actually still might be a little bit useful, and just to give us like another look at another Imperial prison, because why not?
Had
Yeah,
a lot of
yeah.
those lately.
I know.
So
I was with you. I thought that he was not going to come back. I figured that, yeah, his arc was done, and it was just to show he thought he was so important and he was thrown away. So I was like, he's done. Hemlock is the new like main villain of the show. So having him come back was such a cool surprise. And I love that he is someone who has also been used and betrayed by the Empire. He still sucks, but
yeah,
they might be able to find some common ground.
Well, it was nice seeing him having to do this like very intense, hard labor in a prison colony. It was like kind of nice to see that was his fate.
it was
Yeah.
in a way. I mean, blowing up Camino and all the awfulness he had towards the clones.
Doing the hard labor, getting yelled at by an Ugnaught, like it's perfect.
See, I'm very disappointed that they did not give him a plucky Ugnaught sidekick. Like, why did they? Perfect opportunity. You gave Avar Chris one in the latest High Republic book. You gave
Hondo
one. You know, we could all use a little plucky Ugnaught sidekick. He should have stuck around. I would have loved
Alex,
to see that.
You pointed out that it was very on track for Imperials to like not want to associate with alien species, and he was like, I don't even know what language you speak, you know. He was just like rolling his eyes.
Yeah, he was still finding a way to act snooty in prison, but that would have been a fun dynamic if if they were both came along on the mission somehow. But I would like to see the roles reversed, where the Ugnaught thought Rampart was his sidekick, because he kind of had that energy, but Rampart's like, I'm not. No, stop.
And then they learn to become friends, and then he becomes the Ugnaught sidekick by the end of the season. That would be the perfect arc.
Okay. Let's take some guesses about Rampart. Where do you think he is headed? Do you think do you think he's gonna get killed on this mission?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think he has like a heroic thing left. I think he has a little redemption left in him.
Oh, I was like, are we talking for serious, or are we talking about Matt's like wild pipe dream with the Ugnaught?
What are you talking about? I'm serious.
Lost the point there for a moment.
Well, I don't know why, but ever since Rampart has showed up, I guess he's just another Imperial officer, but he reminds me of Callus. I don't know why. And then even more so now, because in Rebels,
sick beard,
in Rebels we had sexy Callus, and I know a lot of social media was excited about Rampart today with the beard and the hair, so it's similar kind of vibes, right? So I don't know. I think he's gonna stay with the batch and help them out.
Yeah, that's true. When they make a character more sexy, they're usually setting them up for a redemption arc.
I'm gonna
That's
tell
exactly-
Bashir directly that you have a thing for sexy Rampart. That's how.
No
that's
sheer.
it. Yeah, I'm gonna tell him, and
You're
he's
gonna
gonna be
tell
like, "That's weird."
I have a thing
No.
for passed out Rampart getting tossed around.
Dude, dragged on his face. There was one point
Alright.
when they like dragged him up the tank.
That
It
was
like,
great.
oh.
We've brought that up multiple times, so I guess it's time to share drawings. That
Oh boy.
You know we had to do it. I'll
Wait,
I'll,
no.
I'll show mine.
I want to
quick.
point out that I said I was going to draw this first, and Molly still took it from me.
Wait, guys.
I had to. I had
The
to. It was
disease.
just
That's
it was such a quick moment, but it was hilarious.
I laughed so hard at that. I did mine up a little closer because he just looks so happy and peaceful.
Look at how peaceful he looks.
There he goes.
Oh,
With
That-
his
that
hand by
moment.
his side.
Guys,
sleepy Rampart.
Oh,
I-
still-
Yay.
Hold on, I'm gonna go one at a time.
Oh, look at the turbo tank.
I did as
Yeah.
well with the
Look at
full
that.
scene.
Perfect.
that.
With
Excellent.
color too.
That's the only way you could tell that who's who.
Who's who?
Oh yeah.
Mine's
That's
Beard part.
Beard part.
Beard part.
Admiral Beard part. But
Perfect.
there you have it.
That looks like right before he got stunned too.
Yeah. Those are the stun bolts coming at him, and he's looking up at it. So.
I love how relaxed everyone was about that throw. Like Wrecker just kind of one arm tosses him. He lands so ungracefully,
No one
and then
catches
Crosshair
him.
Not in his
Crosshair
face.
just kind of like casually grabs him before he slides back off the gate. So funny.
They just didn't care. They knew that was just another part of the mission. Like Crosshair stunned him. Like that wasn't the original plan, but they were like, all right, well now we have this like body to deal with. So let's just it was just perfect.
It was like in like a video game when you toss some body or something. The physics just
Yeah.
don't line up. It was great.
He's probably
pretty
gonna
light.
have like a broken rib when he wakes up and just a bruise down his face. Like, what happened?
But I mean, what do you guys think Rampart? What his future holds? Do you? I mean, it'd be kind of weird if he had a redemption story because it'd be out of nowhere. But
I don't know that
what
we
do you
have
mean?
much time
It's Star Wars.
for him to be like super redeemed. But if he is gonna die, he could go out doing something good to help the batch, you know? So I'd be down for that.
I mean, like his redemption can be as simple as he gives them the intel in order to get to Tantus, and if the information is like good, then mini redemption-ish. And I don't know. I think Crosshair's probably gonna kill him though.
He
I'll be
goes off
honest.
to live in the Tantus jungles.
Yeah.
He and Crosshair have like some interesting background, obviously, but also parallels to just how they are. And Rampart is kind of like the clones now, and that he's been discarded by the Empire. So I do wonder if he'll find a path to being better, but I'm not going to put money on it.
I think it would be cool if he at least calls him Crosshair once.
Mm.
I'm going to be pointing at the TV if he ever does that, because
That would be
that's
cool.
kind of what I'm
There you
keeping
go.
my ears out for. Because then you
Oh,
know it's
yeah.
like they're giving him a little bit of humanity.
Okay, that'd be fun to see
Yeah.
him refer to them as their actual names, and just like see him actually get to be a little bit better and a little better. But yeah, I still think he's a
But
jerk.
He killed all the Kaminoans, so it's like,
Yeah.
almost all of them.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
we've got.
I
redemption arcs
mean,
for worse
it
people.
wasn't on screen, but Callus had a hand in the extermination of the Lasat people. So
Oh, yeah.
Mm.
And he did.
So actually,
Next-
that's a prerequisite for a redemption arc. You got to do some really horrible things to a certain group of people, and then
then maybe if you,
Then
if
maybe,
you change
yeah.
your hair,
We'll
and
see.
grow a
Change your
beard,
grow a beard.
your redemption beard.
Beards are the key to all of this.
Yeah.
Speaking of Lasats, I don't know if this is 100%, but when they released all of the prisoners, a lot of them were aliens, obviously. One of them walking towards the turbo tank when they were getting on. So before there was like they were letting them off. One of them that was walking towards, he had like ears and he kind of looked like a Lasat from behind. Don't quote me on that, but I think that it was, or it might have just been like another just alien that's very tall and that has like the kind of like folded ears. But we mentioned Lasats, and I thought initially that it was, but that would have been cool if it was.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Just throwing that out there.
I don't think I got a good look at them, but yeah, I have to go back and and look and see, because that would be cool if we saw another Lasat. But sad that they were a prisoner.
Yeah.
I felt kind of bad for all the prisoners that didn't get saved along with Rampart and were just kind of like shuffled off.
Yeah, they were using them as a distraction. They were just like, go scatter.
This is an Andor situation where they're going to stumble upon two like fisherman type aliens just like hanging out.
It's the same two guys.
It's the same two guys. They're fishing on this planet. They've done this before.
What are they, Scuba Sev?
Yeah.
They go to every prison planet and just see what there is to do.
It's lucrative.
That's where the best squigglies are. So they gotta go. Oh my god.
Well, like this episode was just so. What do you think is next? Because there was just so much action. I feel like there wasn't as much to break down as far as like dialogue or themes or anything. So
I know.
Where do you hope things go next?
Well, you brought up the whole clone thing where they all kind of get together. I do think they're probably going to regroup with Rex and Echo and everyone now with Rampart in tow to kind of give them like the lowdown on what Tantus is about, or whatever he knows about it. Him and Crosshair are gonna be like the Tantus experts, so they might have to work together to kind of come up with a plan. But I do think that's where we're heading. They're gonna probably be like, we need some backup, we need a group, and then hopefully exactly, they're gonna have to get the C team. Except that sounds bad.
The clone team.
The clone team, I guess, sounds better. C team just sounds like third string.
I kind of like the way you put it, only because that at the start of the show was sort of the Bad Batch's attitude towards regs, is that we're superior, but also the regs kind of thought the same thing about the Batch, is that they weren't on the same page at all. Neither group liked the other, but I would love to see just a bunch of clones coming together to work together and save all clone kind, and also these kids.
Bring a tear to my eye.
Oh, I know, the kids in the rainbow room, as we were calling it.
Yeah, I was gonna bring up. We didn't get a whole lot of it, but Omega being back at Tantus, I did appreciate all of the one-on-one time between Omega and Hemlock. Like Hemlock, it feels like he has almost a little bit more respect for her after she managed to escape and then came back willingly. So he's like walking her around. He's telling her why she's special, what it is exactly about her blood they're using. He's still an awful dude, but I really liked seeing the two of them kind of walking around and sizing each other up. That was fun.
It's weird when the villain just like mutually respects you that much, because like that's always like a really cool element to it. But he does, like, he just tells her straight up, I'm proud of you for coming back. And Omega's just like, I'm not proud to be here, but okay.
He's so sure of himself now that he has her back on Tantus that he's like, I can reveal all of our plans and it will be totally safe and nothing bad will happen.
Yeah, and he's like, we put Nala Se in a cell, so you won't have her help this time. So he was kind of placing a lot of her escape on Nala Se's shoulders and being like, without her help, you'll be done for. But
and that moment
puts her in a room full of Force-sensitive kids, and I'm like, ooh, come on.
Yeah, the moment with Emery where Emery is like trying to buddy up once again with Omega and say like, well, I'm glad you're safe now. And she goes, am I? Like, that was such a great moment. And Emery is like, she has to know that this is not a safe place for her or those other kids. I'm just like waiting for her big moment where she's going to help all of these kids escape.
Emery's starting to crack. I mean, like, that was the whole point of her last like big episode, was that she was starting to crack and she was learning more about what actually is happening overall. And like, she's never had it any other way. Like, we don't know like what her childhood was like, but we know her mostly adult life. She's just been a scientist. So to her, it's safe. But at the same time, now that there has been an escape and Omega has now come back, it's just like, well, I can't guarantee that anymore. And I think that you might be right. Yeah. And Omega's just like working her way back into just like, be friends with everyone again. And I think that like somehow Emery's just going to like crack a little bit and assist in some way, shape or form. She's probably
for sure.
Omega's got those Jedi techniques, she learned from Gunji. So
Mhm.
meditation, teach the Force sensitive kids some Jedi tricks.
Yeah.
Could
It'll be nice to
could
see
useful.
her as the oldest in a little group where she can kind of lead and give advice, and because she's been the quote unquote youngest, but not really, with all of her brothers, and she's been looking up to them. So now this is her chance to teach some lessons to the younger kids, hopefully, and like show them the ropes and be like, I got you.
I like that a lot. I hadn't considered her being, the full-on leader of a team now. We were, as we were watching it right before doing this again, we were joking about how, okay, this is her new crew. It's like a new set of Bad Batch. And then Molly was like, Bad Batch babies. So that's the next
Baby
animated
Batch.
series.
This is
Yeah.
a
That's the
Muppets baby
spin-off.
situation.
Bad Batch
Tiny
babies.
Toons. Oh my god.
It's like the Tiny Toons.
The little
Exactly.
the baby hamster thing is that's definitely Wrecker.
Hamster thing.
Yes.
That's perfect.
That's the record of the group. Yeah.
Oh, is he going to be the
strong.
strongest of them
Yeah.
all?
Well, we saw him throw a vase already.
That's
Yeah, he's
true.
the only one to actually show the
That's
ability.
true. That
So
is
far.
That is true.
He's gonna go Grogu on him, I guess.
So yeah, there, I'll put that prediction down. I'll plant that and be like,
That's a good
he's gonna do
prediction.
something crazy.
I gotta
I
write
can
that one
see-
down.
Episodes.
Omega like holding him up, and then him with like his hand out, just like force pushing people as she's like carrying him through.
Oh my god, that'd be incredible. I love that.
Pointing him in different directions.
Yep,
He's just like, ah.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Just pushing everybody out of the way. That's
Oh my god.
that's my
That's
prediction.
That's a
right there.
fantastic idea.
Yeah, he's going to be like Jack. Just
Yes,
like,
exactly.
Oh, there we go.
that's amazing.
There's no way that would happen, but I think it's
I wish.
hysterical, and I wish they would do it.
Oh
Does,
my
hamster-
God.
does anyone else wish that they had used that little device that Cad Bane had on Omega, that it just gave you a green or a red light for force sensitivity, quote unquote? I was like, I wonder if they're going to use that on Omega and like give us a straight answer, and they didn't. And I was like, dang.
I don't think they're ever going to give us a straight answer. I think
It's
that's like
probably
part
not.
of the whole thing. I think that
It's
was like.
so. Go ahead, Matt. No, you go ahead.
I was just
going
gonna
to
say that's why
Go.
it was just Ventress leaving it kind of like up in the air, and I think that was them kind of addressing it, saying like, "This is all you're getting."
Yeah.
Learn to deal with it.
It's
Yeah.
wild that like Hemlock is so upfront about like what is going on, but at the same time, we still have zero clarity.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Maybe like a little bit.
He
But
was
like,
telling her like about her blood specifically and why they need to use her blood to replicate M count, but nothing about if she had M count.
Exactly.
yeah, exactly.
They're still kind of vague, yeah. Which is the best way to talk about count and the Force. So
Yeah.
I agree with Amaranth that right now I don't think it's. I agree that I don't really think it's going to be answered or that it needs to be. I'm still in love with that final moment from last week where she is captured. She gives herself up, faces her fears of going back to Tantus, and then just sits on the ship and breathes. And I'm like, that's Jedi. That's a Jedi attitude
yeah.
already.
Yeah.
Mhm.
exactly.
But I think just being on Tantus, they've done blood tests. I think that they would. Hemlock was being so loose-lipped about everything. He may have said something about, well, you have a high M count, and so we're sticking you here in this room with all these kids. But instead, he's so focused on just your blood allows us to keep M count high when we make clones.
Mm.
That's it. So I think that she might have a higher than average M count, but not like Jedi levels. She's probably sort of like Sabine or maybe a little higher than that, where it's like, yeah, she could learn to use the Force, but she's not like those kids in the room, like naturally high M count.
Unless she steals one of their bloods.
She's gonna perform her
Well,
own blood transfusion and
I
then
mean,
have all that baby power. Where
That's
he's just like,
the implication there is that might work. I don't like that thought, but it's there.
yeah,
I don't think it would. I
No,
think
I
the
don't think
Empire believes that it would, but
yeah. I think Hemlock thinks that on paper this should work. According to our calculations, this should work, but I don't think the Force is gonna allow that to happen.
Yeah, you wouldn't think.
It's like it's very imperial to just try to understand the science and the biology and blah blah blah. But this is a mystical, spiritual thing, and they're never gonna try to understand that.
Yeah, Palpatine waited so long and probably tried so many different things, and then he was like, "Oh, I just needed the dyad."
Yeah,
I know. It's always the next thing where you're not tapping into the spirituality of the Force. It's like, oh, maybe we can force a dyad. Maybe I can get a clone with like weird blood. Maybe I could do this. It's like, geez, dude.
He tried everything.
Figure it out. Can't do it.
At the end of the day, I think that the most important thing is we know whatever they're trying to do, it's not going to work out. This is like the best / worst part about knowing the ending of this, of all of the stories, of like, we know that Palpatine wants to make clones of himself, but we know it's really not going to work out, and it's going to not work out so terribly. They all have to go into hiding. So like further hiding. So it'll be interesting to actually see how much of this gets destroyed and how much we actually do learn before it does go up in flames.
Yeah, because we keep hearing about Project Necromancer well into the Mandalorian time.
Yeah.
So it's like they really put a lot of money and effort into this project, and they're like really trying to make it work.
Hey, Gideon may have pulled it off. We'll never know.
Yeah,
we'll never know.
I doubt it.
Who knows?
I'd like to think that they're like really close with the science in Mount Tantus, and then maybe like I'm assuming like it's gonna be a tough ending, but I'm assuming the clones and whoever storms in there is gonna be successful, obviously. But it'd be nice that knowing that the clones did kind of save the galaxy a good amount, if they blow all this stuff up. So
stick it to Palpatine one last time.
Yeah, that's my favorite thing about this series, is that the idea that the clones are going to save the galaxy, probably on accident.
Yeah.
They just want to go get Omega and all the clones. They're saving what they love, and by doing that, they're ruining all of Palpatine's plans. And Palpatine used them, and now he's like, he lost control of them. And
family wins again.
It's so good.
This is Fast and Furious.
Bringing it back to Fast and Furious. Well done.
Yes.
That's exactly what the Bad Batch does, though, is they don't let anyone else control them. And that's always been like their like big thing, is they're not going to follow someone else's orders, except like their own that they agree on. But they're not going to be controlled. And I think that I just agree. All of that.
I want to bring up one of the super chats because it's something that we've kind of touched on in other live streams, but Clips Films Melbourne, thank you for the super chat. For final episode of Bad Batch, I would like to see someone get the Zillo Beast escape on Mount Tantus, destroying everything in the facility, and eat Dr. Hemlock.
Yes.
It's it's giving Buffy season 3. Any Buffy fans, like the mayor turns into a giant demon worm and eats the principal, and it is amazing.
Man, I gotta watch Buffy.
Buffy's awesome.
Watch
so
Buffy.
Good.
I gotta watch Buffy.
Buffy is great.
That sounds
so good.
Fantastic.
Let's talk Zillo Beast. It's coming back, right? It has to.
It's gotta be somewhere on Mount Tantus, right?
This is Chekhov's Zillo Beast. They keep doing this. It's like the second time they brought him in to just be like, oh, now we're gonna tuck him away. It's like,
well, see, they could have. What they could have done is brought the Zillo Beast back in season 2, just to be like, okay, nerds, fine, here it is. The Zillo Beast cloning happened, and then they could have killed it. And then we would have been like, well, I guess that's the end of the Zillo Beast. But the fact that they captured it and they showed it being brought to Tantus, it's like, come on.
And they mentioned something about, was it a ship that was made to, or an area of Mount Tantus for larger specimens or experiments?
Yeah,
so
Hemlock was walking Palpatine through and saying like, oh yeah, we upgraded our facilities for our larger specimens. And Palpatine's like, I don't care about the Zillo Beast right now.
He's like, you should. It's amazing.
Yeah, you're gonna see it. You're gonna see it at the end of the season.
Omega's gonna ride the Zillo Beast like Boba.
There you go.
Yeah.
While holding the
hamster baby. She's gonna hold him up like Simba as the Zillo Beast crests over the top of the mountain.
Omega rides the Zillo Beast just so she can one up her brother.
Yeah.
like 40 years in the future.
Rancor, come
Rancor?
on. I've ridden a Zillow Beast.
Oh, cute. You
Calm
rode a
down.
Rancor.
Now he's got to. Now
my
Boba's
God.
got to ride the Mythosaur. He's got to one up her.
Yeah.
Mm.
So we'll see about that.
Eventually.
That'll be
But
Book of Boba Fett season 2.
I do think that would be a really cool parallel of like the Zillow Beast is another thing the Empire thinks they can control and contain, just like the clones, but they
Mhm.
can't, and it'll break out. And yes, that would be a great ending for Hemlock, as far as I'm concerned. Just
Yeah,
swallow
that's
that dude
perfect.
whole.
It's something that they completely overlooked, and it's something that obviously like Omega was terrified of, because the thing that she was so fixated on was that the Zillow Beast ate the entire crew. And like she just kept like repeating that. That was a line that always stuck out to me. So if she has to like see the Zillow Beast like eating someone again, she's not gonna be good. She's not gonna be having a good time.
She'll be triggered. Yeah.
She'll be in the other room.
Yeah.
I hope for Hemlock that he has a moment kind of like one of the characters that battles in Battlestar Galactica, where he's always messing with his hand, his gloved hand. And I think it would be cool if like right before he gets killed or whatever happens to him, he's gonna die somehow. But right before that happens, if he is like he like looks down at his hand or something, like the hand pain goes away right before he's killed. Is it Gata who that happens to in Battlestar?
In Battlestar, God, that's such a good arc of that show. But there's a character who loses a leg, and it's like constantly itching, and he's scratching it, and it's bothering him, and he's got this leg pain, which basically becomes a symbol for like unrest in the fleet. And then he starts a mutiny, which inadvertently saves the fleet. Like it pulls everyone out of their funk and makes them wake up and want to fight again. But they're fighting him, and so they eventually capture him, and they're going to execute him. And like right before he dies, he's like, "Oh, the pain in my leg is gone."
Mm-hmm.
And so like he gets what he wants, but not in the right way. Oh, it's so good.
That'd be cool.
So
Something like that
that'd be interesting. If I don't know what Hemlock's hand pain would represent, other than him being a total dweeb.
Yeah.
Yeah. What?
At least in Battlestar, like his character is good and then kind of strays away from good and then dies kind of in a sad way. But Hemlock has always been shitty.
Yeah.
He's not making it out of the show. Definitely
No,
not.
He doesn't deserve good hands.
What if
don't
Palpatine
deserve
comes
hands.
in and is like, "Look at the mess you've made," and then just kills him?
Yeah, that just happens. So we've seen that before. We've seen
Sure.
Vader choke someone. We've seen Palpatine kill people. We've never seen a Zillow Beast eat.
Yep.
What if
An
it's
Imperial
Palpatine
hole.
on a
You're
Zillow
right.
Beast? He bursts in. He's like,
no.
"Look at the mess you've made." Then the Zillow Beast eats him.
It would kind of be it's similar to like episode 3 or 4 when they were on that planet with all the Jurassic Park-esque episode with the
Mhm.
the containers and everything, and was it a Rathtar or whatever reached out and ate that dude? Kind
Yeah.
of like that, I guess. Foreshadowing maybe. But
Yeah, because that moment is so cool when we find out there's one button that closes all the gates. We're like, all right, there's another button that opens everything. So if that happens on Tantus and all the clones get to escape, we're just gonna see that happen again.
And you know, another argument for the Zillow Beast is that the Bad Batch, they have made jokes about it at this point. There's always a giant monster. So for the finale to not have one would be, and they could make one last joke. Wrecker could be like, "I'm so glad there's a giant monster," if it's helping them.
oh yeah,
Perfect. There you go.
that would be great.
Aw,
There's
I
always
like
a bigger
this.
fish.
From Gozabrez 7, natural forces always defeat the Empire. Batcher leads the Batch and friends
Oh,
in through the kennels she was freed from, and the Zillow Beast gets released and raises hell on Tantus. Yeah, we
That's
gotta have
it.
Batcher in there somewhere.
yeah, that's true. I will be sad if they don't go back and get Batcher. It does make sense because she's the only other person besides Crosshair that's been there.
That's
Maybe
true.
Rampart has,
So
Yeah.
I don't know.
but
So-
getting
I don't know
into
what-
the
those-
kennels would be awesome.
Yeah, that's a great point. Huh.
That would make sense.
As long as everything is powered down before they try to do it, obviously.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Who do we think, or what do we think Rampart is going to like reveal? Like, what is his like source? How does he know how to uncover how to get back to Tantus?
That's a good question.
Because like I have a theory, but I want to know if anyone else has theories.
Do you think it's a someone, or do you think it's like a certain way?
I think it's a someone.
Okay.
So like going back this season, Crosshair mentions that the operatives have like internal trackers that like show like where they are. So I think that they're gonna try either track down CX2 or draw out another assassin and just try and get that guy, and then either force him to bring them to Tantus or use the ship that they used or something like that. I think that would probably be like the best
It's a good theory
of how to get there.
Yeah, because I mean, they had one of the operatives, they had him hostage with Rex and their crew, but if Rampart maybe knows more about just Tantus in general, maybe he could get a CX clone to take them there or figure out how to get that information out.
This is insane, but they do have one of their teeth. Maybe
that's true.
Maybe they can reverse engineer it.
You know who could do that? He's not around. So I like where your head's at, but I don't think that one's gonna work.
I was gonna say they pull a Mission Impossible and they like put him in a room that's like disguised like an Imperial room, and they like shave up Rampart and they get him looking nice and Imperial again, and they send him in and they're like, "Could you tell me where Tantus is? I need it for official Imperial business." And then he's like,
I seem to have forgotten. Can you remind me where Tantus is?
Oh,
just real quick,
sir.
You joke, but that would be actually incredible.
And then he pulls the mask off. He doesn't need to do that.
He pulls a mask off of himself. He still has the beard underneath.
Thank God. He didn't actually shave. Thank goodness. That's the big reveal.
That would be a great way for them to utilize Rampart and have him like, okay, you have a chance to help us here. Do the right thing. Play your part. Yeah.
I was surprised he knew where Mount Tantus was, because it feels like he wasn't high enough up on the Imperial ladder there.
Well, he doesn't.
Knows how to get the location to it, right?
I kind of like this thought of Rampart said from Jared Kozol. Rampart said that no one knows the coordinates of Tantus. It was designed that way. Maybe it's like a nuclear key, and you need at least two people to put in the information simultaneously.
Okay.
It's like having the two pieces of information exactly, like back in the arc where Echo dies in the Clone Wars, where they have the two pieces of information for the coordinates for that trade route. And then Evan Peel dies, and so I like that a lot, actually. Yeah,
that'd be a fun very cool kind of callback to Clone Wars too.
Yeah, it's a two-part. Echo knows the other half.
Full Evan Peel mode.
Did we ever find out what that information was back in the Citadel arc?
It was a hyperspace route.
Maybe it was the hyperspace route to this place. I don't know if that's what you were. I don't know if that's what you're getting.
They're going to dig up Evan Peel. That's it.
We gotta exhume his body.
Wow. Yep, we're going to the Citadel.
They're gonna do that spell from Dungeons and Dragons where you get to ask him 5 questions.
Yeah.
I do like the nuclear key idea. So yeah, I think it's probably just some complicated process that they'll need Imperial help with.
Yeah.
So I wonder who has the other half of the football. It's a good question.
Tarkin?
Oh
no, he doesn't. I don't know, because he seemed to be like he just doesn't know what's going on Tantus. That's true. It would be. I'd be surprised, I guess, if he doesn't know about Tantus at least. But he might not know how to get there.
They like brought him on for like that one scene. Why would they do that if they're not like foreshadowing something or like building to something with Tarkin?
Yeah.
Why would they just have? I mean, yeah, I guess they do that.
He was in the show before.
I know.
But
maybe Tarkin knows half of the codes to everything. That would make sense here.
Yeah.
To circle back fully. So.
He's just waiting in the shadows to take credit for Mount Tantus, take credit for whatever Hemlock is doing when Hemlock is out of the picture.
Or throw the blame on him when it all falls apart. So maybe he will pop up and do kind of the opposite of what he did with Krennic. Show up on Tantus and be like, look what you did. I wasn't involved at all. Goodbye.
Dude, that would be so funny. I love when Tarkin does that. He does that so much. That's like my favorite thing he does when he just shows up. He's like, you screwed everything up, but I told you so. I was here all along. Not my fault. I'm just gonna take over real quick. Yeah, it is.
He's always right.
What do you guys think is up with Pabu? Like, is the Empire leaving there? Or are they occupying it?
It looked like they were leaving, which I was like nervous that they would stick around and just give everyone their shit for no reason because they're the Empire. But it looked kind of like they were all leaving.
Yeah, that's weird. The Empire never leaves.
I think it all stems back to it was like Hemlock's order for the Empire to invade there, and he's so impressed that Omega just gave herself up. He's like, you know what? Let her have this. Let them all have this. Like, we don't need that place anymore. But maybe not.
Well, we don't know, I guess, that they left. The cruiser was still there when they left with Fee, so they might be bringing back a bigger force. Like, I definitely don't think Pabu is just plain safe anymore.
Yeah,
but hopefully the people who are there get left alone.
We go back to Pabu and Gonki is just standing on a pile of stormtrooper bodies. The liberator of Pabu.
Yeah,
he took all of them out.
Yep.
Perfect.
They left.
We made jokes that Batcher killed and ate a bunch of them. So between Batcher and Gonki,
the Empire wasn't leaving; they were retreating.
That's right. That's right.
That
Forget
dog
all the
and that
clones.
droid are crazy.
Send in Gonki and Batcher into Tantus, and you're good to go.
There you go.
Ever since they had Tex goggles there in that like museum monument place on Pabu, as soon as that happened, I was like, okay, this place has to be somewhat safe now that is the resting place of Tex goggles. Like, they can't do that and then just up and destroy the place or have it be occupied by the Empire for the rest of the show.
They can't destroy that, and they can't destroy the stuffed animal. Like they can't. Like they can't do that. So I agree.
Would have been funny if Wrecker were in there and he's like, "What's Lula doing in here? who left her? Thank God you're safe."
I've been looking for her.
That was all set off screen. That was all off screen with him and Crosshair just hanging out here.
It would have been kind of nice for Fee to have a moment with the goggles too, but like this episode was just like so go very fast.
Yeah, they were like really prominently like behind her though. Like you could like clearly like tell like it was like he was in the shot with her. Like but yeah.
I loved that Fee the cave on Pabu or whatever you want to call
Everyone
that.
knows about it.
Secret cave.
It's just the place.
Kevin the Cavern.
Oh, that's right.
When Omega originally said cavern, for some reason my brain was like switched off, but she said Kevin, like in her accent. And I was like, Kevin?
Yeah.
And it's just stuck with me ever since. And it keeps coming up. They keep taunting me. Kevin the Cavern.
Old Kevin.
I'm not going to be able to. That's what I'm going to call that now.
It's so funny.
Maybe someone will learn their lesson eventually and put some sensors in all the caverns where ships will just secretly land.
It's just the one. Yeah. They just got to take care of that one cavern.
It's the only one.
The one
everybody uses.
Perfectly shaped one.
And apparently it's always vacant. Like no one tries to double park or anything.
Just fill it with rocks so they can't land in there.
Anything.
Well, I'll pop into some questions we got, some super chats. First one here from Cindy K. Thank you, Cindy. Enjoyed Fee's response to meeting Crosshair. My headcanon is that off screen she talked more with the squad and got to know them well, particularly Brown Eyes.
Oh,
which we basically addressed that. And Jam, I like what you said, that they must have had a lot of talks, and if they got that deep into his brothers and stuff.
Yeah,
definitely.
It does seem like they leave a lot of those deep conversations off screen. Like the frustrating one I remember was with Fives. We had Echo back with Rex, and I think they had like one sentence about Fives being right about the chips or something like that. But there wasn't really like a deep conversation like, oh yeah, Fives. I don't know.
It's tough because that scene would mean a lot to us and to people who dig into these shows really hardcore, but a lot of people who just watch Clone Wars once and then move on to Bad Batch, they might be like, who's Fives? Or if they've never seen Clone Wars.
Yeah.
If anyone says who's Fives and you've watched the Clone Wars, how dare you? But
that's number one. Then you got homework. You got to go back and you got to watch the entire thing again.
I am excited to rewatch all of Bad Batch once it's over. I'm not looking forward to it ending, but being able to know the complete arc and watch it all the way through again and see all these little moments and all the little growths along the way is going to be nice.
That's like, I've been thinking about that too, because I didn't watch Clone Wars personally when it came out. I watched it all together like 10 years ago at this point or something. And then same with Rebels. I watched it all at once, as I'm sure many people have. But it's like Bad Batch has been so good, but I feel like these shows are so much better when you can binge them all together. And it's like this season alone will just be amazing to watch all of it.
Yeah, I think there's benefits to both, where I think if we had more space in between like the first 3 episodes of this season, it might have felt a little bigger when Crosshair and Omega got back to the rest of the batch instead of it happening just in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
But having experienced the whole thing, I do think this is going to be really rewarding to go back. And like my mind does keep going to season 1 and events that happened. And I know I'm missing more. That I feel like the writers have just done a really, really great job of planning all these arcs out and connecting season 3 back to where they were in season 1. So I'm excited to watch it all again.
They brought back Roland Duran. Was that season 1 with
that
one like second to last episode where they just randomly did that with him, and they brought him back and they paid that off.
I forget that season 1 happened in like 2021, and then we had 2 years in between season 1 and 2. So it's been a long time since we saw season 1.
Yeah.
You know who needs to come back? Sid. I don't know if she will,
but
they did mention her. But I feel like there's stuff there that I want that resolved. I feel
what they're gonna do? They're gonna throw her in jail. They rescued Rampart, but they're gonna throw Sid into jail.
Yeah.
So, there you go.
We took him, but here you can have this one.
It's a prisoner transfer.
I made this joke last week about the Aqualish that sold out Baby Baron. But instead of like an epilogue like Rebels had, where we jump years into the future, the epilogue should just be scene after scene of all the members of the Bad Batch, like kicking in the door of that Aqualish dude, kicking in Sid's door, kicking in Saw Gerrera's door, just being like, how dare you? Like,
I would love to see a conversation between all of them and Saw.
A conversation, yeah.
Yeah.
That would be...
Matt, do you want to share your theory
my
about
Aqualish theory
from last week?
Yeah, so I think my Aqualish theory is that actually he's going to rescue everybody from Mount Tantus. He feels really guilty for what he did. He's going to use the credits that Cad Bane gave him to buy a ship, and he's just going to make it. It's going to be like the last second reveal when all is lost. It's going to be. He's going to
give the Han Solo Yeehoo.
Yep.
Yeah. Or he's going to rise of
literally
resistance,
just the
cutting
Aqualish.
open the wall and.
Yeah, the rise of the resistance.
Let's go, kids.
He definitely didn't gamble all that away immediately.
No,
definitely not.
He's definitely coming back. I'm putting all my chips on that. I'm gambling that.
Oh wow.
Oh wait, no. What was it, Alex? We were talking about that he spent all those credits getting whatever the Star Wars version of a Tesla is, and then it exploded.
Oh, a Cybertruck, like
yeah. He's like, that guy drives a Cybertruck, but like. The first one to completely explode or implode.
Implode.
As soon
Whoa! What's going on with this truck?
Yeah, I don't know. That guy rubbed me the wrong way.
I
want him to.
I don't think anyone
came everywhere.
No one walked away from that episode with him as their new favorite Glup-Shitto.
I'm pretty sure.
I'm pretty sure Matt did. Like,
no.
Are you kidding?
Well, if you think that he had a redemption arc, I can see that.
I sincerely have a problem with seeing a redemption arc in every single bad character. Like, literally, I'm always thinking of like, how can this guy do this? How can this guy save themselves?
I don't know if it's good or bad.
Tales of the Aqualish.
Tales of the Aqualish. There you go.
See, I've been saying from the very beginning that Sid wouldn't have a redemption arc, and I'm kind of happy with myself for sticking with that because I've always been like,
looks good.
She's just not a good person, and I don't think she's gonna ever get there. At least not in this show.
I thought she was a pretty good person. She was, she sold him out, but
what
at
about
the same
was
time,
good?
she taught
Literally,
Omega how to play space chess. So
Molly and I had this conversation like off air where I was making the same arguments you were, and then as I was saying it, I was like, oh wait, that was all like for her own gain,
to make money.
Like, yeah, it would like nothing that when she's bonding with Omega. I do think she likes Omega, but there's never a point I can think of where it was just her doing something nice for Omega because she liked her. It was literally like, let me profit off this little girl.
Every person outside of the group who tells them about Sid is just like, don't trust her. Every person. So she's gone. But the fact that like they brought back Rampart, even though his entire thing was like wrapped up, maybe they will just like bring her back. But maybe they'll be like,
coming back with a beard.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, I look forward to that.
Does Rampart? Oh, sorry, Molly.
I was just gonna say I saw someone on Twitter post a picture of like a handbag and say the only way I want to see Sid back, and it was like a Trandoshan skin handbag.
Oh no.
Yes.
I don't remember who it was, but I was like,
oh my god.
I didn't expect a Rampart redemption. Although is it even a redemption if like it's what the situation is?
I know he hasn't done anything.
They're just trading favors.
We're just saying
I wouldn't call it a redemption yet.
They only saved him from prison to use him for information. And
what it is we all got no sheared. He lied to us and he was there anyway. So that's what it is.
We'll see what he does in the coming episode. If he nobly sacrifices himself and gets captured again so the batch can get to Tantus, then all right, okay, Rampart. But
are we while we're talking about no sheared at all, I don't want to. Is it safe to talk about Survivor spoilers?
Yeah,
I know the game's been out a year.
Yeah.
Okay, so warn everyone in the chat just in case. Which no sheared Dalal characters worse, Bode or Rampart?
Rampart.
Oh.
Yeah, my gut said Rampart.
I think
Bode,
Rampart.
Bode's a dad. He's just doing dad things.
I guess that's true.
Bode is a really good character, like beginning, middle, and end.
I did really hate Bode at the end, though. I was like, "You get out, get out of my game."
Yeah.
So this is mine.
It's one thing to betray me, but then he started getting mean about it. And every time, like we're fighting, and he's like saying things that are really personal. I'm like, dude, come on.
They were so like such good bros. Yeah. Like they had such good chemistry throughout the game. And I just remember when Alex played it first, and I kind of spoiled myself because I was kind of watching him go through it, and so I saw the moment with Bode, and I was just like, "What?" I was so mad.
It was tough.
That was tough.
And then he almost takes out Marin at the end. So I mean,
that's the thing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, embrace the dark side. Hit square. Like sure,
square.
I'm in.
That's safe.
I know.
That game's so good.
Amazing game.
Fantastic.
Well, we've been going for about an hour, so we can let the three of you go enjoy the rest of your evening, and we're going to stick around and answer some questions. But before we do that, let everyone know where they can follow you, follow HoloNet Marauders, what you're all about, all that good stuff.
Sure. Well, thank you guys for having us on. We've had so much fun in the clone zone. Every time I've seen you guys make a post about anything that's like clone related and it says the clone zone, I like geek out each time because I'm like, that's so good. That's so creative. But
Molly said that as a joke, and I was like, nah, that's the show name.
It's great. It's great. So we are the HoloNet Marauders, AJ, Matt, and myself. So we post a Star Wars podcast weekly when shows are in season. We do a live stream of it, and when shows are not in season, we tend to do stuff like every other week or so. We do a lot of build your own character, like D&D style, like games, and just like talking about our favorite bits in Star Wars. You can find us on YouTube at HoloNet Marauders and on all social medias with the same at HoloNet Marauders. I also do cosplay stuff. So does AJ. So I'm on all social media at Jam the Jedi. And it's a lot of just like unhinged content, just so you know. But this is about HoloNet Marauders. But Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much everything she said. My cosplay page is Boston Kylo on Instagram, but everything else is HoloNet Marauder on Twitter and all that jazz. We stream Thursday nights, so tomorrow night we'll be talking about Bad Batch at 9 p.m. Eastern time, so it should be a lot of fun. Yeah.
And you're not finding me. I don't have any social media.
Matt doesn't exist on social media. So.
Sounds like a challenge. You're not finding me.
You're like Mount Tantus.
Yeah. I was designed that way. Well,
but thanks so much, guys. This was really an honor to be on here.
It's a blast. I love it.
No, thank you. Yeah, we had a great time on your show. So everyone go check out their stream tomorrow. We put links in the description to check out HoloNet Marauders right now. Go give them a like, subscribe, all that good stuff. They're great people. This was so much fun.
Yeah,
it really was.
Thank you so much, guys.
I remember seeing pictures of you guys at PAX East, and we went to PAX East years and years ago, but I've been wanting to go back ever since going there that one time. So if we ever go again
next year,
we should hang out.
Ooh,
absolutely.
For sure.
Please do.
Absolutely.
It's easily one of our favorite conventions right after Star Wars Celebration. So
yeah,
highly recommend.
It was a good time.
Cool. Well, we'll let you all go enjoy the rest of your evening.
Right.
Thanks again.
Thank you, guys.
We'll talk to you
guys.
Bye.
Have a good night.
You too.
And we are going to get into some super chats. Our next one here is from Ice. Thanks so much. Another great episode. Bad Batch. I'm going to assume this hasn't missed a beat.
Has missed a beat.
Bad Batch has missed a beat. Not what I expected, but had good developments and a blast to watch. Feels like we're speeding ahead into the final episodes, and I love it. Agreed. From the start, I meant to mention this, but when the music kicked in right away, I was like, this is different.
Wow. Like the almost like Inception music.
Yeah, just like a little signal that like things are kicking off. I enjoyed that.
Things are dark, but this will be fun. Don't worry.
Like an Inception wah that goes into circus music.
And it's just Wrecker driving the turbo tank around.
Give me a real challenge.
Francisco Gios, thank you for the next one. If there was to be a Mount Tantus escape, who of the 3 Force sensitives do you guys think is going to make the ultimate sacrifice to make sure Omega escapes? No, those are just little kids.
None of the above.
I don't think there's going to be any little kids making the ultimate sacrifice.
No.
That would be so sad.
If they stumble across, like, all of a sudden there's a recognizable Jedi. If Apo Rensis is stuck on Mount
He's
Tantus
like, you know what? I've been around long enough.
Yeah, he's hundreds of years old. So out of all of the characters, those 3 or those 4 that are in there now, Apo Rensis is my guess. not Baron, not Eva, not Jax, and I can't.
The
remember.
old hippies coming back to save the day.
I can't remember the other girl's name. 000 Tragic Solitude. Thank you for the next one. You'd think the batch would learn to fear cliffs and jumps. I was real scared for Wrecker and Turbo Tank. Big cool.
Turbo Tank, big cool.
Big cool.
That is.
Love that.
Exactly what this episode is. Big cool.
Yeah, it's a good way to put it. Yeah, I talked about it already, but I was really on the edge of my seat thinking that there is a chance that Wrecker might fall off this cliff. And that's all because of what happened at the end of season 2. I didn't fully believe it, but I was just like, there's a slim chance here.
Nah.
Never once feared for anyone.
I was in the zone. I was like, this episode is setting up a lot of stuff, and other than that, it's just a lot of fun action. So we just lost the Havoc Marauder. We can't lose another big main character.
It would have been weird if we had that big comedy moment of Wrecker throwing Rampart onto his face, only to then go plummeting off the side.
Yeah. And plus, we had that moment already in the last episode of Wrecker getting knocked out and being kind of out for the count.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
that would have been too much to handle.
Yeah.
Ice, thanks for the next one. I joked that last week felt like this show's version of The Tragedy in Mando, and this one had a similar premise as The Believer, minus the Imperial officer speech. I'm enjoying the similarities. Yeah,
That's true.
I can see that.
Yeah. I can see that too. I mean, needing to go hunt down someone else that can get you the information that you need. Yeah. And I wonder if we're headed towards another Andor prison breakout.
Oh, yeah. We've been talking about that too for a while, just like a one-way out moment in Tantus.
And just the fact that these kids are kept in like an all-white prison cell, it does feel... I'm sure the design team tried to make that all match up.
I swear I've heard bits of music cues that sound like the music from the Narkina arc, but I can't prove that. I just think that I am hearing it.
You're just subconsciously thinking back to it.
Mm-hmm.
Darth Nicholas, thank you for the next one. Like last week, for a moment, I thought we were finally going to get a sneak peek at a prototype Palpatine clone. And yet again, we're transported back to the room with the specimens. They got us again. Yeah, every time they go through those red lasers, I'm like, it's time to see, like, he's going to show Omega what they're doing. And it's like, oh, I mean, I guess he is showing her what they're doing, but I wanted to see what's in that stupid tube.
Mm-hmm. What's in the stupid tube? I thought the same thing. Ice, thanks for another one. I'm honestly surprised it's taken this long for Fee to be a major part of the story. I wish we followed up with her and her reaction to Tech's death. Yeah, we didn't really get to see anyone's like direct reaction / grieving of Tech. We kind of skipped over a lot of that, but I think that makes sense for a show like this, not to dwell too much on the really, really sad stuff, because that was really sad and unexpected for everyone when Tech died.
Yeah, it's this, like we talked about, this interesting balance that you have to strike, where I think as adults watching this show, yeah, I kind of want to have sad scenes with Fee and the rest of...
Sorry, I don't know if this was a part 2, but it makes sense for what we're talking about. Ice also says Tech has been mentioned a few times, but they haven't really addressed his death and absence from the team. That might be my one nitpick from season 3. Again, I feel like they're just...
Yeah.
I don't know that they have time to dwell on it in a show like this, when so much else has to be resolved. It kind of just moved us on and showed us how the characters have all kind of moved on. But it is giving us these nice little moments of like each character saying something small about remembering Tech. Like when Crosshair brings up Tech teaching Omega the plans, and he's like, of course he did. You know, it's like little moments like that we've gotten that are nice.
They've done a good job, I think, just about every episode or every week or so, of reminding you that, yeah, Tech existed. They haven't forgotten about him. But yeah, I would have liked to see Fee talk through it. Every single member, I wouldn't have minded a scene of them talking through it. But they do need to get through the story. And it does seem like they have a lot of story to tell. So I guess letting us as the audience grieve for a year, they figured that was good enough.
Yeah.
I was laughing at this. Just to bring it up, Pete Lannon.
I just put it in chat. I was like, please don't spoil X-Men for us.
I was going to say it too. We have not seen X-Men 97 yet. That's our every Wednesday night. We've been watching it after all our Bad Batch work. So we haven't seen it yet. I've only heard great things about it all day.
Yeah.
That's all.
Excited to watch after this.
Darth Nicholas, thanks for the next one. I used to not care about the era between episodes 3 and 4, but Andor and the Bad Batch have established it as one of my favorites. For Andor and Bad Batch, I think it comes down to the fact that both series have really nailed the more Orwellian, sci-fi oriented side of Star Wars. The fact that this in-between era isn't congested like some others and is still ripe for more content makes it all the more exciting. I do think that it's nice that there's a good 19-year gap there instead of in between many of the other episodes where it's just like 1 to 4 years.
Yeah.
Except for Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones,
and you're right, they've given us so many reasons to care about this time period, whereas before we were like, yeah, we basically know what happens. The Empire's in charge and it sucks, and then whatever. But it's made me care about Bad Batch specifically, has made me care about the clones a lot more, and like finding out what the end of their story looks like.
I also think that this era is like maybe the most relevant to where we are right now, of just like recognizing the signs of fascism and the consequences of it and the things to fight against and just what it looks like. It's all very cautionary tale of what can happen if you give your government away.
If you let certain people have certain powers, they take advantage of it, stuff happens.
Well put.
I don't want to get political.
I know. I don't want to dive too deep into it, but it's like so vague.
I don't want to get too far into like real world politics, but yeah.
I don't want to talk about Earth stuff.
Yeah, I will, but not right. Like we gotta go eat dinner at some point.
I get you another drink and then I'll let you go.
Just me on screen talking about what little I know about politics.
Nicholas, thank you for another one. Is it just me, or did the Juggernaut scene give me real Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade vibes? I've been loving all of the Bad Batch's homages to Indy so far. I think I actually thought more about Raiders of the Lost Ark and that chase, just because they drive along a cliff a little more.
Yeah.
But Last Crusade does have the Indy hanging off the side, almost about to get plowed into the wall. And this one had a TK trooper that did exactly that.
If only we had gotten a fake out death scene of Wrecker, and then he just like climbs up and is like, what's everybody looking at?
Yeah. That could have been fun.
That would have been like a very obvious Last Crusade joke. Let's see. Ice has the next one here. Wasn't expecting Rampart to return, but we felt the same way about Mayfield, I guess. I think it's hysterical that Nasir Dalal, is that how you say his name? Pulled a fast one on us by saying he didn't do any voice work, this sneaky devil. So like, I don't know what I saw, but I feel like I just saw something that said he was confirmed to be back for the season. Maybe that was a leak that I saw accidentally. I don't know. I didn't see him denying that he was in this season, so that's fun to hear.
I didn't see any of that play out either. I saw people talking about it today and just saying like, Nasir's been saying for a while that he wasn't in the season, and here he is. Yeah. But yeah, I'm glad he is willing to play along and just keep it a fun surprise, because it was a fun surprise. Nicholas, thanks for another one. This season is really making me want a stealth-oriented video game like Hitman, where you play as a clone X-troopers, spanning from the post-Episode 3 era all the way to the original trilogy. Ooh. Not to mention the fact that CX2's theme goes so hard, I've been listening to it on repeat for the last week.
It's a good theme.
I've had this thought for a stealth Star Wars game since Fallen Order was announced, and I mean, I still love The Last of Us, which has a strong stealth component to it, but I'm garbage at it. But I kind of want a Jedi stealth game, and I thought it would be good as like you're a Padawan trying to survive after Order 66, and you're like in the dark, for example, and you can turn your lightsaber on, and it'll be a good weapon against all the stormtroopers who are hunting you, but also everyone is going to see it. So it's like a little better to rely on stealth, and then when I am inevitably seen, then I'll pull the lightsaber out and scream and run and try to hide, because that's how I play Last of Us. But it's a pipe instead of a lightsaber.
If we're talking game mechanics, I think something really cool from this episode that we could have gotten, I don't know if this would have worked in a game like Squadrons, because you can't really go from space to planet fall, or to planet atmosphere in like within the gameplay, but you had the ability to do that like quick turn. What was it called? It was like the
drift,
slide,
yeah.
the drift. Yeah, the drift. That was really fun to be able to do in game. What if you could do the free fall? Like
Yeah,
the
that'd be
stealth,
fun.
the
Like
stealth
just turn
fall.
all your power off and send your ship plummeting.
That would be so fun. If you could do that in Outlaws, that would be worth
I would definitely
the price
kill myself.
alone.
I would do it with all the confidence of Fee. Be like, that little trick I told you about earlier, smash.
I mean, yeah, it'd have to be kind of hard to do, or else people would always be doing it and always be getting away with stealth checks. But to have the option would be neat.
Speaking of, Ice says Fee's stealth fall reminded me a lot of Hondo's little trick to get past the Imperial blockade over Lothal in season 4. That same crazy pirate energy. I bet she and Hondo would get along. Do you think they've met?
I hope so.
They'd be fun together.
I keep waiting for Hondo to show up in something. I hope he's in Skeleton Crew, because I think he'd be fun with the kids again, but he's got to show up in something. Ahsoka, season 2, maybe. What if Hondo's the one to save them from Peridia? Only I can do it.
He has to appear in live action at some point. I will be shocked if it never happens.
Yeah. And then LOSD has the last super chat here. Why do the two of you not like the phrase backdoor pilot? I think it's because we hear it from so many people.
Yeah, it's not the phrase. It's like there's nothing wrong with the phrase backdoor pilot, and there's a reason to use it. We're not even so this is going back to the Asajj episode where we were kind of laughing about how many people were talking about it potentially being a backdoor pilot, and it very well might be. But it's like one of these weird things as a YouTuber where you're like, every other comment is someone saying backdoor pilot, backdoor pilot, backdoor pilot.
It's a parrot phrase on the internet. So like as a creator who posts stuff on various platforms, we're reading comments on YouTube, on Instagram, on Twitter, on TikTok. So we see so many comments saying essentially the same things. And we're like, okay.
It comes off as like a bunch of people just learned a new phrase and are now trying to use it and sound smart.
Sure.
And
it's not like a new smart phrase. It's something that has been used a lot. It's just after seeing it so much, we were kind of like over it.
It's a perfectly legitimate question to be like, do you think the Asajj episode was a backdoor pilot? But when
you see it
half the comments are like,
times.
what a cheap attempt at a backdoor pilot or something like that, you're like, okay, someone made a video and taught all of these people this word and now they're using it angrily.
Yeah.
That was what that was about.
And that happens a lot with words or phrases.
Yeah. Like filler or cameo or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like
filler especially.
Yeah.
I saw someone pop into this chat earlier and said this episode was filler. And I was like, do you know where you are? I think you're in the wrong chat.
Like, I do think that this episode, you know, my review for it today was only 5 minutes long, and I like wrote about it, and I finished my script, and I was like, kind of a short script. I liked the episode a lot, but it was just so much action that I didn't find as much to like talk about. But I certainly didn't think it was filler. Like, getting Rampart is a significant step in the story.
I mean, a lot of the stuff that was meaningful in this episode is stuff that we've kind of already touched on. You know, like Emery and how she's going to be a part of all this, and Omega being back on Tantus, and just all the stuff that kind of moves the story along, we've already touched on. So this episode was mostly just for fun.
And it was. Ice, thanks for one more. Surprised Alex didn't mention the indie reference in his review. They weren't even remotely subtle with that, and I loved it. Always enjoy a reference. I definitely thought about it, you know, the race along the cliffside, but it's not something that super jumped out at me that like needed a mention. It was just like, this is all just a bunch of fun action scenes strung together.
Yeah. Sometimes, I mean, the fact that it's an indie reference, it's a reference to a bunch of stuff, not just indie. Like, so many shows and movies have used that trope that it becomes not
true.
just an indie reference.
It's a reference to Indiana Jones, which is a reference to the serials that George Lucas grew up loving.
Yeah.
Which is a reference to comic books that people read when they were young, and so on.
Yeah.
But we are going to close up for tonight because it's dinner time, and we also have to go watch X-Men 97 before we're spoiled.
Everyone keeps saying how great the episode is, and I am excited.
But sorry, I want to take one more from Abby. Abby Matherly says, do you think they should have people pay to use that cavern?
Oh, yeah. Put a QR code in there.
Put a parking meter down there. Make some money, Pabu.
Put someone in charge of registering whoever's ship's license plate is in there, and if they're in there more than an hour, you get fined.
Put a space boot on them.
Yeah.
But okay, now we're done. We're gonna go to dinner, watch X-Men. Thank you all for hanging out in the chat. Thank you again to HoloNet Marauders for joining us. Go give them a follow and a subscribe and a like and all that good stuff, because they're super fun to talk to. And yeah, everyone have a great rest of your night. May the force be with you. Molly, do you have anything else to say?
I don't think so.
Okay.
The closer we get to the finale, the sadder I get. So I'm just sad about this show ending, but it's so good. I love talking about it.
I do too. And we'll talk about it again next week with our friend YHC Tower. But until then,
thanks everyone who hung out in chat. Thanks to everyone who sent in super chats. You guys are amazing. We love you.
Good night.